Crash on the red world. The sky burned red. Fire tore through the clouds. A silver ship came crashing down, its engine screaming, smoke pouring behind it. The planet below was dry, dead, and covered in red sand. The ship hit the ground hard. Metal screamed, glass shattered, and then silence. Lena opened her eyes. Everything was blurry. Her ears rang. She couldn't move at first. Blood dripped from her forehead. Something was wrong with her leg. The ship was broken, split into two. Bodies were everywhere. Her team was gone. She crawled forward. Her hand touched hot metal. Pain shot through her body, but she didn't stop. She had to get out. She had to survive. Outside, the air was thin and dry. The wind was sharp and full of dust. The sun above was not yellow. It was white and cruel. Lena looked around. Nothing but red rocks, dead trees, and silence. Her suit beeped, oxygen low. She grabbed a small bag from the wreck. Inside, a half-broken medkit, a knife, water, and a flare. She walked, limping through the sand. Her boot left dark marks behind blood. She needed shelter. After a mile, she saw something not human. A tall figure lay still near the rocks. Gray skin, armor cracked, blood dark blue. It was an alien, one of the enemy. One of the reasons her ship was shot down. Lena moved closer. The alien was breathing, barely. A deep cut across his side. His chest moved slow. He was dying. She stood over him. She could walk away, leave him to die, but then she looked closer. He was holding something, a small photo, a drawing, maybe, a child, a family. She sighed. Damn it. She checked the wound. Bad. Deep. His blood was hot, too hot. It burned through the medkit's thread. Nothing worked. She had no tools left, but then she had an idea. A stupid, painful idea. She pulled out her knife, sat down, and began to pull strands of her own hair, long, strong, thick. She used the cactus nearby, broke off a sharp thorn, and sterilized it with fire. Her hand shook, but she stitched the wound closed, hair for thread, thorn for needle. The alien screamed, but stayed alive. Lena sat back, sweating. Her hands were red, shaking. She had done it. Somehow. The alien looked at her, confused. Why? He asked in a broken voice. She didn't answer. She gave him a few sips of water, then leaned against a rock. Night came fast on the red world. The cold was deadly. Stars blinked in the black sky above. The wind howled like a beast. Lena wrapped her arms around herself, eyes half open. Then, a sound. Not wind. Not animal. Something mechanical. A soft hum. A clicking noise. She looked up. In the distance, 3 small flying drones hovered in the sky. Their lights blinked red. They were scanning, searching. Lena's heart jumped. She pulled the alien behind the rocks. He was too weak to walk. She covered him with her jacket. The drones moved closer. Quiet, watching, listening. She held her breath. Suddenly, one drone turned, facing mid-direction. Lena grabbed her knife. She knew what was coming, and she knew they had to move. Now, she whispered to the alien, if we stay here, we die. The cave was small and cold. Its walls were rough stone, carved by centuries of wind and heat. Inside, Lena dragged the alien's heavy body, one step at a time. Sand stuck to her skin. Her arms ached and blood still dripped from her leg, but she didn't stop. Outside, the night wind screamed like a dying animal. Drones still searched the sky. Their red lights blinked in the dark, scanning every inch of the ground. Lena kept low. She had covered their trail with loose sand, but she knew it wouldn't fool the machines for long. The alien Kale, she learned from a patch on his armor, was unconscious again. His skin was gray and burning with fever. The wound on his side was deep and ugly. The cactus thorn stitching she had made was already soaked with dark blue blood. She checked his pulse. Still there but faint. Lena sat back, breathing hard. She had no medical tools, no antibiotics, and no real plan. Just an injured alien and a planet trying to kill them both. She stared at her own hands, bloody, blistered, covered in sand. Her fingers were raw from stitching Kale's wound earlier. She had torn out more of her own hair to finish the job. Now there was no more to spare. Her scalp hurt. Her body begged for rest, but her mind wouldn't stop turning. Why was she even helping him? He was part of the enemy force. His kind had been fighting humans for years. Her team, her friends, were dead because of this war. Yet here she was, saving one of them. But when she looked at him, she didn't see an enemy. She saw someone trying to live, just like her. Suddenly Kale stirred. His eyes opened slightly. They were sharp, cat-like, glowing faintly green in the darkness. His voice was hoarse, cracked. "You? Help me?" He asked, confused. Lena nodded. "Yeah, I guess I did." He blinked slowly. "Why?" She shrugged. "Because no one else would." There was silence for a moment, just the sound of the wind outside. Then he whispered, "I should hate you. You are human." Lena smiled weakly. "Trust me, I'm not your biggest fan either." But Kale didn't smile. His hand reached toward his side, feeling the rough stitches. When he realized what she had done, used her own hair, a cactus thorn, his eyes widened slightly. He looked at her with something between confusion and respect. "You stitched me. With your body." Lena nodded. "It was the only thing I had." He said nothing more. Just closed his eyes and let out a soft breath. She could tell he was still in pain, but something inside him had changed. A small crack in the wall between them. She used her last bit of water to clean his skin and wrapped her jacket tighter around him. It was freezing now. The temperature dropped fast on this planet after sunset. She curled beside him, using his body heat to survive the cold. Sleep came slowly, light, full of dreams, explosions, fire, screams. She woke with a start. The cave was still dark. But something had changed. A soft humming sound. She sat up, heart racing. Outside the cave, a faint red glow moved across the sand. The drones had found them. Lena shook Kale gently. He groaned, but opened his eyes. She placed a hand over his mouth. "Don't speak," she whispered. "They're here." The cave had no back exit, no way to run. If the drones scanned inside, they were finished. Lena acted fast. She grabbed her flare from the bag. Only one. Not much. She crawled out slowly, staying low, heart pounding. The drone hovered above, its metal body scanning the rocks with a soft beeping sound. It hadn't seen her yet. She waited. And then she threw the flare. It flew across the sand, bounced off a rock, and burst into bright red light far from the cave. The drone turned instantly and flew toward the flare, scanning the wrong area. Lena crawled back into the cave, fast and quiet. Kale looked at her with wide eyes. "You could have died," he whispered. She smirked. "Could still die, but not yet." Kale tried to sit up, groaning with pain. "We need shelter, food, safe place. You know this planet better than me," Lena said. "Got any ideas?" He nodded weakly. "There is. Old outpost. 5 miles east. Hidden. My kind used it. Can you walk?" "Not yet," he said. She stood, tied their supplies together, then knelt beside him and pulled his arm over her shoulder. "Then I'll carry you," she said. Outside, the red world waited, but Lena had already made her choice. The red sand stretched like an endless sea. Waves of heat shimmered across the horizon. Lena walked with slow, heavy steps, Kale's arm over her shoulders, his weight almost too much to carry. The wind howled around them, dry and sharp like knives. Every step felt harder than the last. Behind them, the cave had disappeared into the dust. The flare had bought them time, but not much. Drones never gave up. Cale tried to stand on his own, but his legs buckled. His wound had reopened slightly, and dark blue blood stained Lena's shoulder. Still, he didn't complain. They were heading east toward a place Cale remembered. A hidden outpost built by his people long ago. He said it was underground, shielded, and safe. But 5 miles in this heat? With no cover and no food? It might as well be 100. Lena didn't speak much. She focused on the horizon, counting her steps in her mind. Every 100 steps she rested. Then moved again. The sun grew hotter. Her lips cracked. Her water was gone. And then, as if the planet wanted to punish them more, the sky changed. A low rumble rolled over the desert. Lena looked up. A wall of dark clouds was moving in fast, thick with sand and rage. A dust storm. Cale lifted his head. "Storm coming," he said, his voice dry and broken. "Big one." Lena didn't need him to tell her. She could feel it in her bones. They had maybe 10 minutes before the wind swallowed everything. She scanned the land. Nothing but rocks and sand. No caves. Number. Covered. Then she saw it. A small dip in the ground, an old supply pod, half buried in the sand. It wouldn't protect them fully, but it might be enough to survive. Lena dragged Cale toward it. The wind screamed louder now. Sand hit her face like glass. Her skin burned. Her eyes teared up, but she kept going. They reached the pod just as the storm hit. The world turned red and black. Sand flew in every direction, blinding and brutal. Lena forced the pod's hatch open and shoved Cale inside. Then she climbed in after him and slammed it. Shut. Darkness. Only the sound of their breathing. The storm roared outside like a beast. Lena coughed and leaned back, her whole body shaking. Her face was covered in cuts from the sand. Her clothes were torn, but they were alive. For now, Cale looked at her in the dark. "You saved me. Again." She laughed softly, but it wasn't happy. "Don't thank me yet. We're still stuck in a metal can with no food, no water, and 1,000 angry drones out there." Cale nodded. "But I remember this pod. It connects to a tunnel. If we can open the floor?" Lena turned on her small flashlight. The light flickered, but worked. She aimed it at the pod floor and saw a hatch beneath their feet. With effort, she pried it open. A narrow tunnel led down into darkness. Without a word, she helped Cale lower himself into the tunnel. Then she followed. The air below was cooler. The wind faded behind them. For the first time in hours, there was silence. They followed the tunnel slowly, Cale leaning on the wall for support. Lena stayed close, flashlight guiding the way. Finally, the tunnel opened into a small chamber, metal walls, broken screens, empty shelves. It was dusty, but safe. A small outpost, just like Cale had said. Lena collapsed onto the floor, exhausted. Cale sat beside her, breathing hard. But there was something in his eyes now. Not just pain, trust. "You're different," he said. "How?" she asked. "You fight, but not to kill. You help even when it hurts you." She looked at him. "Humans aren't perfect. But we don't give up." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Maybe we were wrong about your kind." Lena smiled faintly. "Maybe we were wrong about yours too." But the moment of peace didn't last long. From deeper in the outpost, a noise echoed, a beep. A soft mechanical voice. Unauthorized presence detected. Cale's face went pale. Defense system still active. Lena stood up fast. "Can we shut it off?" Cale limped to the wall and opened a panel. Sparks flew. He worked fast, fingers shaky. Then a new sound. Not from inside. Dot from above. Drones. They had followed the storm, and now they were here. Lena grabbed her knife. Kale grabbed a broken metal pipe. Outside. The hatch rattled. They weren't safe yet, but they were ready. Together. The outpost was dying. The lights flickered weakly overhead, casting long, broken shadows across the metal walls. Wires hung like vines from the ceiling. A thin layer of dust covered everything. It smelled like rust, old smoke, and something Lena couldn't name. History. Maybe. Pain. Time. She sat on the floor, back against the wall, watching Kale work. He was hunched over a glowing panel, his fingers flying across alien controls. His movements were slower now, stiff from the wound but steady. He was trying to shut down the outpost's defense system before it triggered alarms or worse. Outside. The wind had died, but the danger hadn't. The drones were still searching. One wrong sound, one wrong move, and they'd be trapped like rats in metal walls. Lena's voice broke the silence. How much longer? Kale didn't look up. 5 minutes, maybe less. Before the system shuts down? He shook his head. Before it activates fully. Lena cursed under her breath. She checked her knife, useless against machines. Her mind raced. If the system detected them, it might lock the outpost. Or worse, alert both drone forces and Kale's old military command. Either way, they were done. She looked around. Her flashlight beam danced over empty crates and broken tools. Then it hit something, a wall covered in old screens. Most were dead, but one flickered to life. A soft hum followed, and a small hologram blinked on. It showed Earth, not in ruins. Not burning, but glowing blue. Peaceful. Beautiful. Lena stared at it, frozen. Where did this come from? She asked. Kale turned, confused. He limped over and looked at the screen. That's your world. You had this here? She asked, eyes narrowing. Why? He was quiet for a moment. Then he sat down beside her. This outpost wasn't just for war. My people used it to study you. Watch you? Spy on us? She asked. He nodded. Yes, at first, but then something changed. Kale tapped the screen again. It shifted, showing videos. Earth cities, people laughing, children playing, humans building things. A time-lapse of forests growing back, oceans healing. We saw what your kind did, Kale said. You survived wars, hunger, fire, disease, but you didn't give up. You kept building, loving, fighting for each other. Lena watched, stunned. Her throat felt tight. We thought humans were weak, Kale continued. Too emotional, too soft. But we were wrong. You are not weak. You are impossible. She turned to him. Then why the war? Kale looked down. Because we were afraid. Afraid that if we didn't control you, you would grow stronger than us. That one day, you would surpass everything. Lena shook her head. We never wanted to conquer. We just wanted to survive. Kale looked into her eyes. Now I know that. But our leaders, they didn't care. Silence fell again. But it wasn't cold this time. It was heavy with truth. Lena leaned her head back. Before I crashed here, I was working on something, a project. About DNA. Kale raised a brow. My team was studying alien biology. We wanted to find a way to heal both species. Maybe even live on the same worlds without hurting each other. Kale nodded slowly. Your blood. It is strange, strong. The way you stitched me, it should not have worked, but it did. Lena smiled weakly. Hair is strong, especially when you're desperate. They both laughed quietly, the sound dry and tired. Then a sharp beep. Kale stood quickly, gripping the panel. What is it? Lena asked. I stopped the system, but there's something else. A signal. He turned the screen toward her. It showed a faint pulse, a transmission from another part of the planet. "Is that human?" she asked. Kale shook his head. "No, alien, but friendly. Old beacon. It says, Outpost Delta still active. All allies welcome, Lena's." Eyes lit up. "That could be help," Kale nodded. "It's 2 days from here, on foot." Lena stood, already grabbing her things. "Then we go." But Kale stopped her. "There's something else you should see first." He opened a small door in the wall. Behind it, sealed in glass, was a metal pod round, glowing faintly. Inside it was a memory core, human tech. "Very old. We found this years ago," Kale said. "From one of your first deep space explorers." "Lost, never reported back." Lena's eyes widened. "My great-uncle flew one of those missions. He disappeared." Kale placed the core in her hands. "Then maybe this belongs to you." She held it close, silent, then whispered, "Thank you." The moment passed and the danger returned. They knew the drones would not stop. They had to leave soon. Kale limped forward. "If we move fast and stay quiet, we can reach the signal." "And if not?" Lena asked. Kale smiled for the first time. "Then we die, trying together." Lena nodded. "No more questions. No more fear." They stepped out of the shadows and into the red light of the alien sun. Together. The sun rose like fire over the red planet. Heat shimmered across the sand, turning every rock into a mirror. Lena pulled her scarf tighter over her face and adjusted the strap on her shoulder. Kale was leaning against her again. He could walk. Now, but barely. Every few steps he stumbled. Still, he refused to stop. They had been walking for hours. The desert stretched endlessly ahead of them. Their destination, Outpost Delta, a long-lost alien station that might still be broadcasting. A call for help, or it might be a trap. Neither of them knew, but they had no other choice. Behind them, the sky was no longer empty. The drones had found the old shelter. They would be tracking now, watching footprints, heat signals, anything human or alien. It was only a matter of time. Lena scanned the horizon. "We need to find high ground. Maybe we'll catch a signal." Kale nodded. He was breathing heavily, but he stayed quiet. Each step was harder than the last. The wound on his side had closed, but not healed. Infection was setting in. The skin around the stitches had turned dark. They reached a rocky hill. Lena climbed first, helping Kale up with both hands. When they reached the top, she pulled out the small scanner from her bag. It buzzed faintly. A weak signal blinked on screen, just a ripple, faint and flickering. "There," she said, pointing toward the mountains far ahead. "That has to be Delta." Kale looked at the distance. "It's still half a day away." Then, "We better keep moving," she said. But just then a high-pitched hum pierced the air. They both turned fast. 3 drones, hovering, watching. Lena didn't think. She grabbed Kale's arm and ran, pulling him down the hill. Sand flew around them. Beams of light shot over their heads. The ground exploded behind them. The drones weren't just watching now, they were attacking. Kale stumbled, fell. Lena turned and covered him with her body as another shot hit the rocks nearby. "I can't run anymore." Kale gasped. "You don't have to," she said, reaching into her bag. Her fingers found it, the emergency beacon. A small human-made device meant to send a final signal across long distances. It had 1 charge, 1 chance. "I'll activate it," she said. "If there's anyone listening, human or alien, they'll find us." "But they'll find us too," Kale said. "The drones, I know." Lena stood tall on the rock, holding the beacon high. She pressed the button. A blinding blue pulse shot into the sky, cutting through the dust, through the silence of space. The drones turned toward her. Kale tried to stand. "Go, run, leave me." But Lena didn't move. You're not dying here. Not like this. She pulled him behind the rocks. The beacon continued to pulse, sending out bursts of signal. The drones descended. One shot struck just feet from Lena. She screamed and covered her head. Then something exploded in the sky. Drone burst into flames. Another followed. Lena looked up in shock. From above, a sleek alien aircraft dove from the clouds, firing bright blue energy. It was fast, sharp, beautiful, and completely unfamiliar. A voice came through her radio. Human signature detected. Hostile drones neutralized. Stay where you are. Lena's hands shook. Cale looked at her with wide eyes. They heard it, he whispered. Your signal. It worked. Moments later, the ship landed beside them. The door opened and 3 figures stepped out. 2 were alien, like Cale though, dressed in dark armor. One was human, wearing a patched Earth uniform. The human woman stepped forward. Her voice was strong but warm. Lena Voss? Lena stood slowly. That's me, the woman smiled. We've been trying to find survivors for months. Your signal led us here. Cale tried to speak, but collapsed. The soldiers caught him, laying him gently on a stretcher. He needs help, Lena said. I stitched him with my hair. He wouldn't have made it otherwise. The alien medic checked Cale's vitals. He's stable. You did more than most doctors could do with full equipment. Lena sank to the ground, finally letting herself rest. As they lifted Cale into the ship. He reached out and took her hand. You saved me, he whispered. Again. She smiled, too tired to speak. Above them, the red sky was breaking into soft purple. A sign of weather change or maybe hope. The ship lifted off, carrying them toward a future neither of them had imagined. One built not on fear, but on survival. On trust. On a woman who tore out her own hair to stitch a stranger's wound, and a man who learned that humanity's strength wasn't in weapons, but in the way they never gave up. The ship landed deep inside a canyon hidden from scanners, shielded by rock and silence. Lena stepped out first, her boots hitting the dusty floor. Her body ached, her hands were blistered, and her lips were cracked, but her eyes were sharp. She had survived too much to let her guard down now. Cale followed, weaker than before. The infection had spread through his side. His steps were slow, his breath shallow. Still, he refused a stretcher. He walked on his own, every step a quiet act of defiance. Inside the canyon was an old relay station, abandoned years ago by Cale's people. Half of it was underground, the entrance covered in broken metal and sand. This was their target, the last working signal booster on the planet. If they could power it up, Lena's message could reach deep space. Anyone would hear it, but there was a problem. The core is dead, the alien technician said. We need a new power source, a strong one. Lena turned to Cale. Can we take it from your ship? The tech shook his head. The ship needs its own power to stay hidden. If we pull it, the drones will find us in minutes. Cale stepped forward. There's another option. Lena narrowed her eyes. What? Cale reached into his armor and pulled out a power cell, glowing faintly green. My bodysuit, it's old, but the core inside is stable. Strong enough to jumpstart the relay. The technician's eyes widened. That's bonded to your blood. If you remove it. Cale nodded. I know. I'll die. No, Lena said sharply. There has to be another way. There isn't, Cale replied. That signal, it's bigger than me. Bigger than us. Lena grabbed his arm. I didn't stitch you up just to watch you throw your life away. Cale looked at her with quiet eyes. You didn't save me so I could live forever. You saved me so something could change. Lena stared at him. Her throat felt tight, her heart heavier than ever. She wanted to argue, scream, cry, but she knew he was right. Cale turned and walked into the relay station alone. Inside, the walls were cracked and dust hung in the air like mist. Wires dangled from the ceiling and old control panels blinked with half-dead lights. At the center was the booster core, black, silent, useless. Cale sat on the ground beside it. He looked at his hand, scarred, burned, worn from battle and pain. He had lived through too much, hurt too many, but now he had a chance to give something back. With a steady hand, he pressed his palm against his armor. A needle slid into his skin, drawing a line of his own blood into the power cell. It glowed brighter. His body shook. Outside, Lena waited. Then, the relay hummed. A low vibration filled the canyon like a sleeping giant waking up. Lights flickered, then brightened. The tower shook slightly, its ancient core drinking in new power. Inside, Cale gasped, falling to the ground. The cell pulsed once, then went dark. Lena rushed in, heart pounding. She found him slumped beside the core, his skin pale, his chest barely rising. "You stubborn fool," she whispered, kneeling beside him. "You're not dying, not after all this." He looked at her weakly, trying to speak. "I don't want your final moment to be here," she said, choking on the words. "Not alone, not like this." But Cale reached up and touched her hand. "I'm not alone." The signal burst into space, clean, strong, and clear. Across the stars, the message was sent. A human and an alien had survived together, had fought together, had believed in something bigger. Outside, the technician's radio crackled. "Receiving response," he said. "Multiple ships. Both human and alien. They're coming." Lena looked at Cale. "Did you hear that? They're coming." His lips moved. "Because of you." "No," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "Because of us." He smiled, soft, tired, real. And then he closed his eyes. Lena sat beside him for a long time, holding his hand, the machines humming softly around them. He wasn't breathing anymore, but the signal lived on. The sky above the canyon had changed. What was once a red wasteland now shimmered with the soft glow of approaching ships. Sleek shadows cut through the atmosphere, lights blinking across the clouds like distant stars reborn. Hope was finally coming, not in silence, but in waves. Lena stood at the edge of the cliff, Cale's body wrapped in white cloth behind her, resting beneath a makeshift marker of stone and steel. She didn't cry anymore. There were no tears left. Only stillness, only breath. She had done everything she could. Now the galaxy had to decide what it would do with the truth. The signal had reached far across systems, across borders once drawn in blood. Human command answered first. Then came the alien coalition. What shocked both sides wasn't the signal itself, but the story inside it. Lena hadn't just transmitted coordinates. She had recorded everything. Cale's sacrifice, the stitching done with her own hair, the drones, the moment they chose to save each other instead of fight. She hadn't edited the pain. She hadn't hidden the fear. She let the galaxy hear it exactly as it happened, raw, broken, and real. And because of that, they listened. Now, ships circled overhead. Human medics, alien diplomats. A united rescue team, something that had never happened before. Lena didn't speak to them at first. She let the silence explain what she could not. It was the alien general who approached her first. Tall, armored, with eyes like deep water. His voice was low. "You fought beside one of ours. You saved him, and he gave everything." Lena nodded. "He did. We thought your kind were emotional, unpredictable, dangerous." She turned to look at him. "We are, and we care deeply. That's our weakness and our power." The general was quiet. Then he asked, "Why help him? After all the war, after all the death, why him?" Lena looked at the sky. The same one Cale once stared into, believing his people were right about her kind. The same sky that now held ships from both sides. Because no one ever changes by staying afraid, she said. Someone has to go first. Someone has to bleed first. He bled. I stitched him back together. We survived. Because we trusted when it made no sense to. The general didn't speak again. But he bowed his head, slowly. Respect. Something Lena had never expected to see. They let her return to the relay tower one last time. Alone, she walked the hall slowly, each step echoing like footsteps in a memory. The walls were still gusty. The lights still blinked. But something in the air had changed. It wasn't just a hiding place anymore. It had become a monument. She stopped beside the spot where Cale had fallen. There was a burn mark on the floor where the power core had surged. The machines around it still hummed, connected to the galaxy now. She knelt down and placed something beside the mark. The small photograph Cale had carried, worn and nearly torn in two. A drawing of a child, his child maybe. Or someone he had once known. A piece of home he never got to see again. Then she added her own. A broken dog tag from her mission. Scratched beyond recognition. Side by side. Human and alien. She whispered, "We're more than what we were told to be." Outside the tower, they waited for her. The human commander stepped forward. "There's a seat for you on the lead ship. We can take you home." Lena looked out over the horizon. She hadn't seen Earth in a long time. She missed the green trees, the smell of rain, the sound of laughter not shaped by fear. But she wasn't sure it would ever feel the same again. "I don't know where home is anymore," she said. "But maybe that's not the point." "What do you mean?" he asked. "I think home is where you choose to heal, where you choose to build again." The commander looked at the alien general. And for the first time, they nodded at each other. Agreement. Quiet, but powerful. That night, as the first stars returned to the red sky, Lena sat beneath them, not as a soldier, not as a survivor, but as a symbol. Not because she wanted to be, but because the galaxy needed one. Cale's name was written into the ship logs, and next to it, one note: he survived because of her.